The desert at night was a landscape of patient silence, an unfathomably wide plain, where the horizon stretched so far it felt like a second sky. Under two pale moons, the sands moved in slow waves, shimmering as if they held memories of the day's heat. On this lonely expanse stood Helios Outpost, a slender research station, perched on metal supports like a silver insect resting against the earth. Inside the transparent observation deck, Dr. Leora Kess pressed her hands against the curved glass. She wasn't looking at the desert. She was listening to it. The outpost hummed with soft technology, a quiet tapestry of consoles breathing with blue light, processors murmuring like distant streams, and datapads blinking with rhythmic patience. Yet even with all that, Helios Outpost felt hollow tonight, as if the desert itself was holding its breath. Leora leaned closer to the audio interface. The speakers emitted a faint, pulsing tone. Thrum, thrum. Gentle, calm, almost curious, she frowned not in fear, but in fascination. It wasn't wind interference. It wasn't atmospheric chatter. It definitely wasn't one of the known beacons from the planetary relay. She ran the pattern again. Thrum, thrum. THR, then a soft harmonic shift, just a single note higher. As though the signal realized. She was listening, Leora's colleague. Dr. Arianvo floated down the metal stairwell from the upper deck, holding a tablet and wearing the kind of tired smile only a decade of late-night research could carve. Arian wasn't the type to get rattled. He believed every mystery was simply a puzzle not yet solved. But even he paused when he heard the speaker. "You're still tracking it?" he asked, setting his tablet down with gentle care. "I thought it vanished 20 minutes ago." "It did," Leora replied. And then it came back, stronger. Arian leaned over her shoulder, eyes narrowing. "It's cleaner than before. Almost intentional." That was exactly what Leora didn't want to admit yet. The universe rarely offered coincidences without a touch of purpose threaded between them. She magnified the waveforms. Unlike typical radio noise, chaotic, jagged, this pattern resembled a slow breathing rhythm, repeating at a steady interval. "Too steady. It's not mechanical," she said quietly. "Meaning?" "Meaning," she whispered. "It feels alive." Arian didn't laugh. Not because the idea was absurd, but because deep down, he agreed Helios Outpost existed for one purpose: to study the quiet anomalies of the Outer Crescent, a region of desert renowned for its strange atmospheric behavior. For years, sensors had captured faint fluctuations, small electromagnetic tremors, particle bursts that didn't match known geological activity. Nothing dangerous, but odd enough to warrant a research installation. But this was new. Over the last week, the station detected microsignals rising from below the desert floor. Most were faint, barely above noise. But tonight's pulse was something else, structured, patterned, unmistakably deliberate. Something beneath the sands was reaching outward. And now, it felt as though it was reaching toward them. Leora activated the vertical scanner. A column of pale light descended from the ceiling disk, scanning the desert far below the station's foundation. The imaging display rendered the subsurface. Layers in translucent hues, sand, sediment, compacted mineral. It was like peeling away layers of time. At first, all appeared normal. Then a faint halo of light materialized, deep down, far below natural cave levels. A perfect circular shape, glowing softly like an ember preserved beneath the earth. Arian stepped closer. "That wasn't there yesterday?" "No," Leora said, pulse quickening with excitement. "It's growing." The halo brightened for a moment, only for a moment, but long enough for both of them to notice. "Did you see that?" Arian whispered. "It responded to the scan," she said, "or to us." They exchanged a quiet, electrified look. The desert suddenly felt less empty. The lights in the outpost flickered just once. Just softly, like a blink of surprise. Leora and Arian paused. A moment later, the audio speakers vibrated with a new sequence, still gentle, still soft, but now layered with three distinct tones that rose together, harmonized, and descended gracefully. The sound wasn't eerie. It was beautiful, like a greeting. "Is that music?" Arian breathed. "It might be modulation," Leora said, though even she didn't believe her own explanation. She was already replaying the sequence in her mind. Hearing emotion in the harmonic shift, calm, patient, inquisitive, then something unexpected happened. The tones matched the exact interval pattern Leora had been humming under her breath minutes earlier. While analyzing the data, she froze. Arian stared. "Tell me that's a coincidence." Leora didn't answer. Her breath fogged lightly against the glass as she stared out into the open desert. The dunes appeared still, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something far beneath them was observing. Listening, waiting, but waiting for what? 2 hours passed, and the station settled into a tense quiet. The signal fluctuated but didn't vanish. It drifted like a gentle tide, as though its source were shifting beneath the sands, moving with intent but without urgency. LIOR monitored amplitude changes while Arian mapped the geometry of the subsurface halo. Gradually, a shape emerged: concentric circles, each mathematically perfect, arranged in a pattern that mirrored no natural formation they knew. "It's organized," Arian concluded. "Not geological? And definitely not accidental. What are you suggesting?" Leora asked softly. Arian didn't answer immediately. Instead, he tapped his finger against the tablet, studying the nested circles. "This might be a structure." Leora leaned back, absorbing the implications. A structure beneath the desert floor, emitting harmonic signals. Growing brighter, she couldn't help but whisper, "Someone built this." Arian turned toward her, expression steady. "The question is whether they're still down there." Just as the suspense settled, another alert chimed through the outpost. The external perimeter lights brightened automatically, as if detecting movement. The station's environmental readouts displayed a sudden, localized temperature dip on the north ridge, nothing extreme, but enough to register as unusual. ARIEN pulled up the thermal display. "Strange. No wildlife that size out here. Could be atmospheric cooling." But Leora was already moving toward the main observation window. The desert ridge glowed faintly under the twin moons. No visible movement. No shadows. Just endless sand, yet she could feel it again, that sense of being watched. Not by something lurking, but by something curious, attentive, almost empathetic. As though the signal wasn't a warning. As though it was an introduction. The audio speakers pulsed with another three-tone sequence, this time softer, drawn out, almost like a sigh. Leora closed her eyes for just a moment, letting the sound wash over her. It wasn't frightening. It felt intentional, gentle, a presence reaching for connection. She whispered, "You're trying to tell us something, aren't you?" And the signal responded, one extra pulse, faint but perfectly timed. Arian slowly sank into the chair beside her. "I don't know how, but it's interacting with us." Leora exhaled, goosebumps rising not from fear, but awe. "We need to send a reply." Arian blinked. "A reply? We have no idea what this thing understands." "We'll keep it simple," she said. "Math, a basic harmonic mirror." But before she could begin calibrating the transmitter, another anomaly flashed across the screen, this time from beneath the station itself, not the halo. Not the signal, something else, a vastly faint glow, like a gentle flare, just for an instant. Arian leaned forward. "Was that?" A soft trembling hummed through the floor. Not dangerous. Not violent. More like a restless shift of the earth, almost as if something far below had adjusted its position. The speakers went silent. The glow vanished. The waveforms flatlined, and the desert outside became impossibly, achingly quiet. Leora's breath hitched. "Did it stop?" Arian checked all the systems. "Everything's functioning. But the transmission is gone. Why would it stop now?" She whispered. The lights dimmed, then quietly stabilized. A gentle breeze brushed the exterior of the outpost, rare at night, rare in the outer crescent altogether. It carried a faint, almost melodic hum, a vibration subtle enough that one might mistake it for imagination. Leora pressed her hand to the glass, and just when she thought the night had settled, a single new tone rang out. Soft, clear, unmistakably deliberate, not from the speakers. From the ground, a low, resonant hum rising from beneath the station, gentle, Harmonic, almost welcoming. Arian's eyes widened. Leora, it's right under us. She didn't move. She didn't speak. A quiet thrill rushed through her fearless, breathless curiosity, the hum deepened by a single octave, not threatening. Not alarming. Just a sound with meaning, a message, a greeting. Or perhaps an invitation. And then, in the same soft clarity with which it appeared, the tone faded into silence, leaving the outpost, suspended in an atmosphere thick with wonder and unanswered questions. The desert felt alive. The station felt watched. The anomaly had shifted. Leora whispered the only words that felt true. It knows we're here. Fade to black. The hum beneath Helios outpost lingered in the air long after it faded. Like a memory that refused to leave, Dr. Leora Kess remained still at the observation window, watching the desert for any sign of movement. Instead, she saw only the quiet shimmer of moonlight on distant dunes. Dr. Ariane Vo stood beside her, eyes fixed on the sensor displays that flickered with uncertainty. The equipment wasn't malfunctioning. Every system reported perfect functionality. Yet the anomaly beneath them had withdrawn into silence. It wasn't gone. It was waiting. Leora inhaled slowly. It didn't stop communicating. It changed how. Ariane nodded. We're not dealing with random signals. Whatever this is, it's responding to us, adjusting. And now, she whispered, it wants us to listen differently. The next morning arrived almost without color, a pale wash of early light stretching across the desert. Helios Outpost had sensors capable of reading atmospheric shifts, but no instrument could measure the subtle feeling that something beneath the dunes was awakening softly. Cautiously, almost politely, Leora barely slept. She spent hours analyzing the final tone from the night before. It wasn't just a sound. It possessed structure, intricate frequency layering. Harmonic intervals that resembled conceptual patterns, not language exactly, but not noise either. It's like it's thinking out loud, she said as Ariane sipped a cup of nutrient tea. And we're hearing its thoughts, he replied. Or at least the ones it wants us to hear. He pulled up the subsurface scan. The faint halo they'd seen earlier had expanded. Not aggressively, not like something breaking upward, but gradually, as if unfolding like a flower seen through fast forward, except this bloom was beneath the earth. Concentric rings glowed more clearly now, forming a spiraling pattern that curved inward, drawing Leora's and Ariane's attention to a central point. Deep underground, there's geometry in this, Ariane murmured. Precise geometry. This is deliberate. Leora stepped closer. It's a map. Ariane blinked. A map of what? Not space, she said softly. Of sound. She outlined the inner spirals. Each one matched the frequency bands of the pulses they received. The entire structure wasn't just emitting signals, it was the signal. The desert wasn't hiding something. The desert itself was resonating with it. All morning, the outpost remained quiet. No unusual movements. No additional tremors. The harmonic tone from beneath did not return. Instead, the sensors continued to show gentle electromagnetic waves, consistent, peaceful, almost meditative. Leora stood beside the large transmitter panel. We need to answer. Ariane gave her a long, thoughtful look. You're certain it's safe? It hasn't shown a single sign of hostility, she said. Every response has been deliberate, gentle, curious, and polite, Ariane added with a faint smile. Leora nodded. Exactly. She began constructing a reply not in words, not in complex patterns, but in simple harmonic intervals. A greeting of tones. Something humble, mathematical, universal. She crafted a sequence of 5 soft notes. A rising scale ending in a warm, steady frequency. A sonic gesture that meant, we hear you. We're listening. We mean no harm. Ariane pressed the transmission key. The note drifted across the desert, vibrating through the outpost structure, before dissolving into the dry air. Then came silence, not the tense kind from the night before. A calm, expectant quiet, and then from beneath the ground, a soft pulse bloomed outward. A single tone, clear and warm, matching their greeting precisely, note for note. Lior gasped quietly. It answered. The tone swelled, not louder, but richer, filled with harmonics that curved around their original message. Reshaping it, completing it, it repeated our greeting, Arian said, but added its own ending. A reply, Leora whispered. A continuation. For a moment, the two scientists simply listened, letting the sound fill the outpost with gentle resonance. It felt like standing inside a musical instrument, like the desert itself had become a living chamber of echo and emotion. Then the tone shifted into a new sequence, delicate, rising, full of meaning neither of them could translate. Yet both instinctively felt it was gratitude. It was welcome. It was an invitation. The ground beneath the outpost trembled gently, not warningly, but like the rumble of a distant wave. The concentric circles in the scan brightened. The central point flickered, then blossomed outward with soft radiance. Arian stepped back, awe washing across his expression. Something's moving. Or opening, Leora said. A soft flash of light shimmered far beyond the outpost, deep below the sand. Invisible to the naked eye, but vivid in the scans. The spiral formation shifted, reconfiguring its layers as if rearranging itself. Leora leaned in. The structure. It's adjusting to our reply. Arian exhaled. It's mimicking our frequencies? Reacting to them. They watched as the glowing spiral began, forming a new pattern, no longer simply rings, but branching shapes extending outward like delicate filaments. It's communicating through geometry, Leora said. The way coral grows, but purposeful, symmetrical. Not a machine, Arian murmured. Not exactly. Leora paused. Not biological either. Something between? Or beyond? The formations continued shifting until they formed a complete image, a shape recognizable even without translation, a sphere, then a second, larger sphere. Then a third, 3 spheres interconnected with luminous lines. The meaning struck Leora instantly. It's showing us something local. Arian tapped into the desert geological charts. After a moment, his eyes widened. These align perfectly with the subsurface mineral chambers of the outer crescent. It's showing us the natural formations under the desert and where it resides among them. They're not structures built beneath the sand, Leora whispered. They're part of the sand? Arian looked up. This might be a natural phenomenon, but not natural to us. The hum returned soft, reassuring. Leora closed her eyes, feeling the tone vibrate through the solace of her boots. For the first time since the anomaly appeared, she felt no confusion. Only clarity. It's alive, she said, but not in the way we think of life. It's a resonant organism. A harmonic intelligence? A consciousness of sound? Arian asked in wonder. A consciousness of harmony, Leora replied. It communicates through resonance, through patterns in matter and frequency. It's been here who knows how long, hiding within mineral formations, asleep or inactive, until something woke it. Arian turned to her. What woke it? Leora smiled slightly, almost shyly. Our own signals. The research broadcasts. The atmospheric probes. Maybe even the vibration from our station. We've been talking to it for years without realizing. And now, Arian said, it finally decided to answer. The desert hummed again, this time with 3 soft pulses. Almost like it was agreeing. Throughout the afternoon, Leora and Arian exchanged simple tonal sequences with the anomaly. Each time it responded not with words, but with harmonies that carried emotion and intention, curiosity, warmth, recognition, and a desire for connection. The subsurface formations, reconfigured several more times, eventually taking on a stable pattern, one that resembled an open spiral reaching upward, like a hand extended. It wants openness, Leora interpreted aloud. Not physically, conceptually. Mutual understanding. Arian nodded. This might be its way of establishing trust. They transmitted another friendly sequence, and the desert responded with a tone so soft and serene it felt like a sigh of relief. Then unexpectedly the audio equipment illuminated with a glow. The anomaly was sending a new pattern, a slow cascade of tones that formed a shape on the frequency display. It was unmistakably a mirrored version of Helios Outpost. Orion let out a stunned breath. It's showing us. Yes, Leora felt a warmth in her chest. It's telling us it sees us, that it understands. The final tone rang gently clear, steady, harmonious. Not a request. Not a warning. A statement, a bond. As evening approached, the desert settled into peaceful quiet. The anomaly withdrew slightly, its glow softening as if preparing for rest. The harmonic vibrations faded into a comforting background hum present. But calm, like a friend dozing nearby, Leora stepped outside onto the observation platform. The moons hung low, painting silver ribbons across the dunes. The air was cool, serene. Orion joined her, leaning on the railing. After all this time studying the outer crescent, who would have imagined this? A mind made of resonance, Leora said. A consciousness that thinks in music. And it chose us to speak with. She smiled gently. Maybe because we were the first to listen? A faint tremor drifted through the sand, barely a whisper. A soft good night from far below, Leora whispered back. Good night. The hum faded into stillness. The mystery was solved not through conflict or fear, but through understanding. Through patience? Through the simplest universal language, harmony. And as the night deepened, Helios Outpost glowed softly in the desert, no longer an isolated research station, but a newfound bridge between human curiosity and an ancient, resonant life beneath the sands. A quiet partnership had begun, one built not on conquest, but connection. Fade out.